A little over 12 years ago, I heard on Science Friday a person by the name of Ann Cooper talking about Alice Waters and school lunch, the edible schoolyard, and all the cool things that they were doing in Berkeley, California. I went to my boss and said, do you think you all would pay for me a trip out to Berkeley, California to observe this and bring that back here to Kansas? And my boss said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
In the spring of 2008, David Smith called over to the director at that time, and I was working here as the manager, to ask if we would be interested in partnering up with the culinary department to have a garden here. And we said, oh, that sounds exciting. He was given the task of finding a school to partner with. And he looked to a lot of elementary schools in the area, and none of them wanted to bring the children over in this direction away from their schools. And someone said to him, did you know we have a child care center on campus? And he said, no, I didn't know that.
And I didn't know that we had a child development center right here on campus. The person that suggested this was a guy by the name of George Sims. George and Pat Sims have paid for the garden, and now they pay for somebody to take care of it.
The foundation asked us if we would be interested in supporting a project that was aimed at teaching children healthy eating behaviors. We thought that was a really great idea because it had tangible outcomes that we could see what effect a contribution of time and money would have.
I think it's very important for children to see where their food comes from in this day and age, living in the areas that we do. We go to stores and we go to fast food restaurants, and we thought it was very important to let children know where their food actually comes from.
One of the neat things that happened early on is that the directors of the Child Development Center went out and actually got a curriculum that had already been developed called Early Sprouts that actually shows teachers how to use the garden as a teaching tool.
The director and I were at a conference and heard the author of the Early Sprouts curriculum, at which time that curriculum was not published. We talked with her and she said, would you partner with us in a research project for a year? So we did that so that the children would test certain vegetables. They would taste them before we planted them and all, and then we planted them and they grew them, and then at the end of harvesting, they tasted again. So they had a pre and a post test and found that the children did like vegetables. Now they were told that they could say, I like the vegetable or I don't like it yet, but they were not allowed to say, I don't like it. And so we still kind of use that phrase around here with all vegetables and food tasting.
I got to try a lot of different vegetables that I still like today, like the snap peas. This program has helped me try new foods. So over the summer, we ate at this one restaurant and I didn't know what the vegetable was on my plate. So I asked the server what it was and he said it was bok choy, and I've never tried it before. So I didn't really like it, but I did try it. So I think that's one of the impacts that it's had on me.
It's not very often that you hear a 4-year-old request broccoli for dinner.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that has been an outcome of being exposed to this kind of program, that the kids actually expand their horizons of the things that they will try.
There's nothing more inspiring really than to see a group of 3-year-olds walk down the hall, each carrying a little tomato in their hand and saying, we planted this. And they're taking them to the kitchen, where the kitchen will prepare something with them.
My local foods class combines a lot of that into one subject, and the most common thing that comes up is health. We're hoping that by improving school lunches, improving food in the Child Development Center, improving food that our culinary students know how to fix, that we can reverse some of the health detriment that has taken place. I go to school lunch programs, and I always tell them that they're probably some of the most important educators in the whole school, because that's something that you're going to take for the rest of your life, how you learn to eat at school. And we find the younger that they're exposed to good food, the more they like it, and if they're invested in it, if they actually help grow it, they eat healthier.
Quite often we've heard from parents, well, now we are going to have to make a garden at home. And I think that's pretty awesome. So the parents are learning that the children are more open to new foods if they have the opportunity to grow them from the very ground up.
I'd like to see a garden plot in every school where they can actually see tomatoes and herbs and those sort of things, and that they get a relationship with things that grow.